In Outward 2, cash rules everything around you. I don't think I've ever played another RPG that has ever so properly captured the feeling of going from rags to riches, where purchasing power turns into actual power. Except for one, but we'll get to that a little later. I'm a big fan of Outward, having spent over 100 hours in the first game, so naturally, I had to get into the Outward 2 closed beta, and I have some other thoughts now, but the more I played it, the more I found myself worrying about cold, hard cash. Like we don't do enough of that in real life? For those of you that have been here before, welcome back. Big shout out to our supporters on Patreon and our YouTube members. Like, sub, and comment is always appreciated and it helps us out way more than you know. But for those of you that are new here, welcome to our cozy little tavern, where we delve into everything from RPGs to immersive sims to unusual indie games. Stick around and we'll see why Outward 2 might just be one of the most unique RPGs to come out this year. My name is Boss Sauce.
And I'm Roland Coons. And together, we are the two-headed hero.
Outward 2 doesn't waste any time in pressing the cold boot of capitalism directly onto your neck. The latest beta starts out with a robbery sequence. You wake up several hours later in a clinic run by a weird alien with barely a scrap of clothing on your back. You're already 5 coins in medical debt from the ambulance ride. By ambulance ride, I mean, yeah, it's just a guy that dragged your bleeding body here. You find out that the robbers have already pawned all your worldly possessions, including a priceless trinket from your late father, and the crooked pawn shop owner decides to up the price to 200 silvers for the privilege of buying it back, because that's business, baby. So we're already off to a bad start. Stuck in an unfamiliar city, stripped of wealth, and in debt to a pawnbroker, when suddenly, your tummy starts grumbling. What is that? Is that a nag meter? Okay, body requires nourishment, and the farmer's market isn't about to give away a meal for free, so you'll be intensely experiencing homelessness for the first few hours of the game. The public fountains provide life-giving water and hopefully contain minimal levels of piss. You'll fill your belly by pulling fruit off of trees and scraping fungus off the walls. Basically the RPG equivalent of eating out of the dumpster. City living, right? But there's still the problem of finding a place to rest your sleepy little head. Now, back in Outward 1, the game began by forcing your character into a mortgage with a tight time limit. Otherwise, the village elder sells your ancestral home right out from under you. True landlord flex right there. Basically the same thing happened in the first beta for Outward 2 that came out back in February. But in this beta, housing is not an option. The city of Simeon's Bastion enforces a strict no camping policy. The local inn, that costs you 20 silver. Even renting a cot down by the docks goes for 3 silver, and that comes with the risk of getting jumped again. Pretty tough to pull yourself up by your bootstraps when you can't even afford boots. There's no steady jobs out on the mean streets of Simeon's Bastion, only the occasional gig work. Sound familiar? The odd immaculate or vendor might throw you a bone, but unless you get real cheesy with it, these quests are generally out of reach until you can properly gear up. Your hobo knife and your begging robe aren't really going to cut it out there. So what can you do? One word: dumpster diving. Rummaging through these random trash piles can turn up some bits and pieces that'll sell off for a silver or two. Basically the RPG equivalent of turning in cans. If you get lucky, you'll scrape together enough scraps to buy a safe bed for the night. Or you can try pitching a tent outside the walls, but homesteading in the great outdoors comes with its own set of issues. You're never really safe out here, and between the bandits, the wildlife, the starvation, and the money-hungry merchants, the first few hours of Outward 2 can be absolutely crushing. It really reminds me of the early hours of Gothic, a classic RPG that's got a remake of its own coming out right now. Just like in Gothic, you generally suck at everything for quite a while until you start to get just a little bit good at it. And the gear ramp, training, and slow power climb feels really familiar here in a lot of ways. Gothic gang, sound off in the comments, let me know if you're looking forward to that remake. In the same spirit of Gothic, you can't brute force your way through challenges here by grinding out levels. No, this isn't that kind of RPG. There's no levels, no experience points, no Skyrim skill grinding. Outward 2 sidesteps all of these familiar systems. Instead, progression is gated by the almighty dollar. If you want to learn some fancy new fighting moves to help keep you alive, well, you're going to have to turn to higher education. Tuition starts around 100 pieces of silver. Sure, there's a skill tree, but every point on the map here unlocks like a Steam achievement. arbitrary tasks like sneaking up on a guy 3 times, selling a certain number of items, that sort of thing. Basically, it's the RPG equivalent of an unpaid internship. And the really good skills are locked behind breakpoints, which you can only earn by grabbing enough chivos off the skill tree. Plus, you're going to need to finish a bunch of supplementary reading in your downtime, with textbooks going for about 100 silvers a pop as well. If this isn't an allegory for how the education system works in the US, I don't know what is. So, it's back to the money grind. Selling odds and ends can be pretty slow going because merchants hold near absolute power in Simeon's Bastion. Even a pot to piss in costs 20 silver coins. A tent? 25 coins. Want to try your own hand at making these cool potions and fancy weapons that they sell? Recipes start at 10 coins a pop, plus whatever equipment you might need for the process. If you're lucky, the odd blueprint or two might turn up in the trash, or on the bodies of any bandits you might be able to out-hobo in the beginning. Crafting stuff made out of bones and the teeth of dead animals is the true spirit of entrepreneurship and the beginning of many Instagram businesses. There's just the problem of gathering raw materials. Combat in Outward 2 is incredibly lethal. You'll need to fight dirty, use traps and skills, lean on enemy infighting, and take advantage of the terrain just to survive. Get used to dropping your bag and drawing your weapons so that you can move around freely. Battles have a bit of a Dark Souls roll slop feel to them. Stamina management, target lock, invincibility frames, you get the picture. There's a good combo system in place, with light and heavy attacks for each weapon. 2-weapon fighting styles feel pretty awesome, and keeping a pirate pistol in your back pocket is a great way to suddenly end a fight. Or start one. Due to the wonders of the market, there's a wide weapon selection, again for those that have the coins. But when you're a broke murder hobo wearing second-hand shorts, you gotta learn to make do. Enter the lowly frying pan. It has a ridiculously high block stat and decent pummeling power, so this turned into my main hander for taking down basically any human foes. I latched onto the pan beats man strategy early on, using elemental rags to strengthen my swings and bonking the various giant chickens and hungry bandits into the stratosphere. Man can't live by pan alone, though. There's always a bigger rat in the rat race. Plenty of terrifying beasts and spooky spirits are lurking out there, just itching for a chance to fill you with bees or turn you into a campfire. Or, depending on how you look at it, plenty of opportunities for expanding your fledgling bone jewelry business, if you can survive. And if you can't survive, well, death is not the end. Instead of a simple game over, dying brings you face to face with one of the many death scenarios that drag you to remote locations all over the map. Narratively, this is a lot more fun, and I love this feature, but it's also a golden parachute. Dying is essentially handing you a bailout, saying in no uncertain terms, no matter what you do, you can always build yourself back up from the bottom. Really puts the fantasy back into this capitalist fantasy. All kidding aside, I have a special place in my heart for the first Outward. My wife and I spent over 100 hours exploring the world of Aurai in the original game. After spending a couple dozen hours in the past 2 closed betas, I can definitely say I liked a lot of what I saw in Outward 2. The new character creator is pretty great, although I wish there were a few more body types than just 2% body fat male and female. Plenty of options are out there for a proper adventure clown, and none of them are pay-gated by microtransactions, so gotta love that. The little backstory picker is a really fun addition. Choosing a few background details shifts around your base stats and your starting gear, and even lets you pick which city to start out on. During the first beta, we got a peek at the magical city of Haboob, haha, and the latest beta lets you check out Simeon's Bastion, which is the shining jewel of Levant. The city overlooks a wide riverbed with some killer views. A cool green mage windmill thingy towers over the entire skyline, and you can even wander around the palace a little bit. The tourism aspect in Outward 2 is one fantastic carryover from the first game. The map doesn't give you a position, it's just a piece of parchment, meaning you'll need to figure out how to get around based on landmarks and compass directions alone. This game is about exploring just as much as it's about stacking bills, and Outward 2 offers that same feeling of being lost in a foreign land that the first game pulled off so well. You'll find many secret caves, haunted ruins, and remote settlements within the vast, majestic wilderness that this game offers up. On the visual side, well, the graphics show mixed improvement with the switch to Unreal Engine 5. The expansive maps are gorgeous, of course, especially with these sweet new weather effects. The characters are more of a mixed bag. Textures look kinda simple in general, especially the skin on humanoids. All the weapon and armor designs absolutely rule though. It strikes a whole alien planet fantasy vibe that I've never seen anywhere else. Look at this guy in holy armor, just aura farming on the bridge here. Monster designs are where this game really stands out to me though. Ghosts and hive monsters look like otherworldly terrors, and the wild beasts have strange features. Six-eyed boar, firefox but not the browser, lightning hedgehog of doom. Even some of the neutral NPCs like the Immaculates and the Giants help lean into that alien feel that the game cultivates. Also, the soundtrack is absolutely amazing. Jean-Francois Racine returns once more to score Outward 2, and he brings back the same energy, epic orchestral swings, and catchy hooks as he did in the first Outward game. Fighting feels generally more finely tuned here than in the first game. Skirmishes feel more like a duel as well, when you actually decide to fight fair. It's more fun to set up a mess of elaborate traps like you're playing a Home Alone movie, and this basically becomes a necessity to take down some of the bigger beasts. The crafting's been expanded here with many more options to support this. I also like how the unique burn mechanic returns. It's an interesting system that reduces your maximum health, mana, and stamina pools as you overexert them until you're able to eat and rest and restore them back to normal levels. Magic still needs to be unlocked by visiting a ley line and sacrificing some maximum health. I think this is a pretty cool trade-off that feels appropriately wizard-like. And even the base level spells are fairly powerful. The thing I'm most looking forward to though is the split screen co-op. Remember when I said I had like 100 hours in the first Outward? Well, most of that was spent playing co-op, and like the first game, Outward 2 appears to be more tuned to a two-player experience. Once they get co-op locked in, I'll probably be changing my forwarding address to Simeon's Bastion for a few weeks. But for now, there's still quite a few things that didn't feel fully cooked in this second beta. Putting aside the occasional visual glitches, there's issues with performance. The Steam page has a lot of developer brags about the game running on a potato computer, but I'm feeling skeptical on this. With the game's release only a month out, I still experienced some significant hitching and stutters, and moving to the great outdoors dropped my frame rate by a pretty decent amount. The inventory UI also gave me no end of issues. Generally, it felt a bit rough, and I found it freezing up and stuttering whenever I flipped between screens. This gets especially annoying when navigating to the crafting screen, since you'll be on it so often. Crafting was a bit glitchy in itself, sometimes requiring multiple clicks just to get the job done. But I think the worst offender had to be the controller support. I was doing my best to use a regular Xbox controller for this, and let's be clear, controlling your character, running around, fighting scary monsters, all of that works just fine. But when it comes to navigating the menu, it's dicey at best. Dragging a cursor around with the stick is totally miserable, and the D-pad only works some of the time. There also seems to be some weird sort of acceleration or something happening when you're trying to push the cursor around on any of the menu screens. See me missing the buttons here over and over? No, I'm not drunk. It just kind of feels like the game is pushing me past whatever I'm trying to click on, no matter how careful I was trying to be. Just get over there. Come on. Come on. Hey, 9 Dots. Please fix the controller support. I really want to play this from the comfort of my couch. After spending a couple dozen hours between this version of the beta and the last one, I gotta say Outward 2 feels like it's shaping up to be a more focused version of the first game that fully leans into its ideas. Outward but more is a fine enough sales pitch for me, and even if I only get a fraction of the playtime I found in the first one, I'd say it's worth a buy. Guess we'll see soon enough because the game comes out in early access on July 7th. And as a bit of a side note, I'm pretty happy to see more of these single A and B tier RPGs making a bit of a comeback, even despite the discouraging news of certain publishers and developers recently closing their doors. So what do you think? Did you play Outward? Are you looking forward to the sequel? Or are you more of a Gothic fan? Let us know down below. And as always, a special thanks goes out to our YouTube members and the brave champions around the heroes table over on Patreon. All of them get access to bonus material, special Discord roles, and a little shout out, just like this. Wolfgang Bristol, Yaroslav Rybaki, include invert Y in your games. Jim DiFrancesco, Vulspiz, Adam Uselman, Amelie McNamara, James Blake, Cameron Froment, Dominic Nguyen, Mahogany God King, and our YouTube members, Godspeed7, Vinny2142, Muggs McGurk 812, and all the rest. If you like what we're doing here, you can help us out by hitting subscribe and clicking all the buttons down there. Dropping a little wisdom in the comments also helps us out way more than you know. Doing that weird hype button thing does something, I guess, too, if you're on mobile. And if you're looking for another exciting RPG to fill your weekend, you need to check out this review right here. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next Two-Headed Hero.